Our Justice Thursday conversation will happen this morning, and we are joined by our guest for this hour. The Honorable Sukyan Hassan Omar is the Deputy Chief Kadhi, and he is in the room this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Karibu Sana, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. You are in the hot seat, and even as we get into this conversation, we are glad that you're here for this Justice Thursday conversation. So we want to welcome you and warm it up just a little bit. CT gives us proverbs from around the continent, and this week he is, in fact, I'll let him tell you excuse me, where he is, and then you can tell us what you think about the proverb that he gives us and how you would interpret it. Is that fair enough?
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Every time we talk about a country, we would like to give certain details about the country so that people understand it's not just some geographical mass in the middle of Africa somewhere, but it has people and the unique features that the country has. We are looking at, for the last 3 weeks, this is the fourth week, we'll be looking at proverbs from countries in Africa that are landlocked. And Chad happens to be one of them. Now, let me just mention two things about Chad. The president is called Mohamed Day. The Prime Minister is called Alumai Halina. Their legislature is known as a National Transitional Council. What that means, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
Okay? In terms of the dispersion of the faith composition in the country, they have three. There's the Islamic faith, there's the Christian faith, and then there are those who are referred to, if you look at Wikipedia, as others. Others include what they call traditional faiths.
Right.
55.1% of this country subscribe to the Islamic faith. 41.1% subscribe to Christianity. Now, those are the salient points of this particular country, which has over 200 ethnic groups.
Okay.
So this proverb is representative of something that these 200 or so ethnic groups more or less figure is an okay proverb for them. Okay? When you befriend a chief, remember he sits on a rope.
Am I hearing you very well?
Yes.
Imagine
When
you
you
are
befriend,
A chief. Now, I want to be clear. I did not say when you befriend a chief Kadhi. I said when you befriend a chief.
yes. It's okay.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you think this proverb is saying to us?
When you befriend a chief, you sit on
a rope.
a rope.
You befriend a chief. Remember, this chief sits on a rope. So your friend is someone who sits on a rope, in other words. What do you think they're trying to say?
The proverb, first of all, is new to me. It's my first time to hear.
Yes.
By my literal understanding and interpretations, the chief, and who's a chief, I contemplate who's a chief is. Chief in the olden days is the leader of the community.
Yes.
Now, in our context, modern context, he can be the president.
Yes.
So he sits on a rope means he sits on a power.
Yes.
He sits on a power.
Yes.
So it's up to him how to exercise that power.
Yes.
Of course, in a modern context, the power is being regulated by law.
Yes.
And the main law that we have is the Constitution.
Right.
Move from there and the rest of the legislations. There we are.
I think you put it well.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Sure.
Excellent.
It's great. It really is. And I think it segues into the conversation that we're having this morning, isn't it? Honorable Omar, we're talking about enhancing access to justice through the Kadhis courts. And I think we would just like to, as we get into that and how justice is actually enhanced, let's just do a first kind of walkthrough of how the Kadhis courts actually operate within the justice system in Kenya. So can you give us a little bit of that to get an, basic understanding of how the Kadhis courts then do operate?
Very well. Thank you so much once again, Radio Spice. Kadhis court, a bit of historical background.
Please.
Is from my understanding, is that is one of the oldest formal judiciary that we had in this land. Actually, the oldest. Because this formal system was introduced to us by our colonizers. But by the time when our colonizers came, the Kadhis court was fully functioning in the coastal region. The rest of us were traditionalists. We have got our own traditional system of governance.
Yes.
But the coastarians by then were civilized and advanced in many ways. So when the Britain came, they found this court fully functioning the way this court of ours functioning. And it's anchored on Islamic law, purely, right? So that's where we come from. When our colonizers came, they harmonized everything. Of course, they come with a law from that side. Most of the laws that we use is the law from India, to subcontinent. It was actually imported. All right, imported as it is, with some modifications. Of course, after the independence, we have reviewed those laws and customized it to our system. So the Kadhis court was found, and it was a negotiated thing between the system in place then and the colonial government, that this court should be entrenched in our constitution. Therefore, the court find itself entrenched in our first constitution of the Lankas, 1963. But the jurisdiction of the court was reduced to certain areas of Islamic law, and that is purely family law. It is wrapped up as the personal status, the marriage, divorce, and inheritance. But all of them, from where we sit, falls under personal status. But these three areas were captured with the marriage, the divorce, and inheritance, and issues that are associated to. This court is part of our subordinate or the lower court, or rather the court of first instance. Here we have a number of the courts, and that established under the constitution. And these are the magistrate courts, which is the largest court that we have, spread all over the country. Then followed by the Kadhis court, tribunals that we have, and the court martial. And then followed by now High Court, and the court of the equal status, and that's how we operate. Now this court, when it comes to the application of the law in this area, we apply purely Muslim law, or rather Islamic law, or the Sharia law. That's what we apply, right? And that's what the constitution gives, and that's what the also legislations gives. And the area of the operations, we said, is the marriage-related issues and the divorce, and the issue of the inheritance. It's a wide area, a bit of wide area. And then, but personal status wider than that. Of course, of late, then the Waqf Commission Act, which is the endowment act for the Muslims, also gave the court of power to arbitrate issues of the Waqf, and the subject, the conditions that the parties must be professing Islamic law.
Right.
And the constitution also adds, the new constitution adds also, parties must submit. Of course, people must submit to the courts before you arbitrate. People must come for them. You don't look for them. They have to come to you. That's how we operate. And the appeal from our courts goes to the High Court and then to the Court of Appeal. That's how we operate. Thank you.
Okay. Why is it called the Kadhi's court? Because now we know the Kadhi, or can we equate, who would we equate the Kadhi to?
Yes. Kadhi is an Arabic word. It can be said Kadhi or Kadhi, whichever you pronounce it. And a Kadhi in Arabic is a judge.
Okay.
Rather, is a judge.
Yes.
All right. So when you hear the Kadhi rather is a judge.
Yeah.
Hakimu, kwa lugha yetu Kiswahili. Hakimu. Right? So this word, this terminology is borrowed. It used to be like that before.
Yes.
All right? It was taken as it is. So to distinguish, look now, on our system, in some jurisdictions, all the judges, whoever arbitrates your case, are called judges.
Yes.
All right.
Judges of this court, judges of that court.
Magistrate.
So
No, they don't have magistrate.
Not magistrate,
But no,
judge.
judges.
Judge.
Okay.
But it's a judge of this particular court.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, the level district judge, for example, all right, or certain county judge, something like that. Very good with US. But in our system, we have different setup to distinguish. We have the magistrates who are equally qualified as a judge. Also, we call them who? Magistrates, right? They run magistrate courts because we have got courts called magistrate courts.
Yes.
All right. We have arbiters who arbitrate issues at the tribunals. They are magistrate, qualified lawyers who sit there. But now when we come to the next hierarchy, we call them, all of them, judges from the High Court, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court. They are called what? Judges. They share the same title. Right? So we have adapted in our system these terminologies, these names for the people who man our courts. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, it's now if I want to get a bit into more business, in as far as how cases are and access for that matter, looking at some records in 2023, especially from the, of course, the Judiciary of Kenya page, but because of course you are within that. Now, during the reporting period at that time, the overall case backlog in the judiciary went down by 17%. Generally, that's what they say, from 336,119 cases in June 2022 to 276,678 cases at the end of June 2023. Here's my curiosity. I would like to know how you're doing at the Kadhi level, because of course, justice delayed is not denied, but for a number of reasons, Kenyans and of course Muslims, for that matter, also anticipate that there's some pace at which cases are attended to at the level in Kadhi courts. How is it going?
Thank you for that. The issue of access to justice and dealing with the backlog has been an issue for the judiciary all over. It has been an objective for the successive leadership of the court, the chief justices, and the rest. And each and every court and each and every magistrate or a judge is given a target and is assessed on performance. Every year we sign a performance contract. On which we are gauged. And the court competes, really. Court competes. The winner normally is given some sentiment to encourage, right? So, as you've rightly read, there have been a systematic reduction of the backlog. I think if you have noted that, right? The Kadhis court, when you hear the backlog, yes, we do have backlog also.
All right.
Yes, we do have backlog. But compared to the rest of the courts, we are the best performing court. In terms of that, we're the best performing. That's the court talks about it. Just find it further. Is the best performing court. I was accessing my court just yesterday. I was not preparing for this. We just had a meeting, LMD leaders meeting. We're just assessing ourselves, how we're performing, how we're doing,
yes,
and other things. My matters. This is one of the business court that we have. Nairobi and Mombasa is the most business court. The course that registers about 2,000 cases in a year. So what we have, the cases which have 3 to 5, over 3 years old, I have only 5 cases.
all right.
5 cases. All right? For us, that's look good for us, still. But we have to push and to make sure that we conclude that case. But why do you have backlog first in the first place?
Yes, that's the next
That's a
question.
big
Why is
question.
there a backlog? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The backlog is being created not only by the courts or by the officers there, sometimes created by the nature of the case. Nature of the case and nature of the parties. Another day I was just returned the case to the High Court. A case which started in 1990s. Right? It has gone through many hands and many hands. We are human beings. And we are also dealing with human beings. Some people are so litigious that if you close this application today, tomorrow you will receive another application. Okay, you have no system to say, no. I will not entertain your application. Your application. You have to give. It's still, if you say that, they say that access to justice has been denied. So this particular person will bring this application, you deal with this, next day you will come. When you start the main case, you will bring also another application. These are some of the things that causes what? A delay in the case. In the process, maybe you are a public officer, you've been transferred. This matter will be handled by your colleague who will be coming in. Okay? He will start devoting or sometimes a fresh case again. He doesn't know where to start from to grasp the case itself. So these are some of the cases, not that only are the judges, are the courts which create that problem. All right? But people, Kenyans are so litigious. That space of the freedom that they have, okay, it's really spoiling for us also.
I want us to go to a break, but there's a question here that I actually saw, and I thought this is it because I thought about it, even preparing for this last evening. Can only Muslims come to the Kadhis courts?
Yes, okay. I said that.
Yeah.
This is the constitution that guides us. We are a court of law, regulated by law. So our constitution is very clear that people who are supposed to get the service from the Kadhis court must be Muslims.
All right.
Equally, those who are manning the court, especially the Kadhis, must be also Muslims.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Because it's difficult for you to apply what you don't even believe.
This is very true. But what is the length and breadth of some of these cases, and how? You talked about maybe 5 cases outside of not being completed from the numbers that you've seen. How are you able to do this with those cases that you do and able to wrap them up so quickly? Same justice system.
Well, the Kadhis court, the way we operate, first of all, we do simplify the procedure.
Okay.
We have a very simplified procedure. Our court, if you see it, is a most friendly court. If you come to my court, you will not see the police officers around my court. Even if maybe they are around there, but we keep them a bit off. You know, when you see the police all over and you are a stranger, you come from a very peaceful land, you will think that it's a war in this country, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's true.
Yes.
During the protest, you will find the police all over, isn't it?
Yeah, the sight of the police don't usually give you that sense, feeling of security.
Exactly.
But it should.
That's what it should, but it doesn't. You feel something is wrong. Why are they here? If something isn't wrong, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the things. We normally have a very friendly environment in which we operate, and as the constitution demands, and also using our scripture, the Quran, and the teaching of Islam generally, we embrace alternative dispute resolutions. This also helps us a lot, that we refer matters to the families, we refer matters to the elders, we refer matters to the scholars, Islamic scholars, and this really helps. And we normally adapt, since we are dealing with a family, we focus on end result. In as much as you focus on the delivery of the justice, we try to give sense to the parties that, look, the best decision is your own decision. The moment you surrender your own will to a third party, then you may not get what you want. The end result may not be very much juicy for you. We never know how the end result will be. Another thing being dealing with the families, we also focus this family, even after the judgment of the decision, should remain as a family united and in harmony.
Right.
So this is what focus is, and it really helps us. It really helps us. Sometimes, so cases which are so much contested, we may resolve, you may not imagine, amazingly within maybe 30 minutes. People are gone and entered consent, recorded, goodbye.
Bound by law.
Yes, bound by law. Yes.
40 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, when they first come to you, you'll just wonder that the whole village is here. The whole village is with you.
Yeah.
And they are in two camps, fighting fiercely.
Where do these courts sit?
The court sits, some of them in the main courts that we have.
Yes.
Some of us we sit alone. For example, in our case, we sit at Upper Hill. Our sister court we come under, because each and every lower court is under the jurisdiction, supervision of a high court.
High court.
Yes. So we under supervision of the Milimani High Court, right? But we sit in Upper Hill. Upper Hill.
Okay.
We have Mombasa Court, for example. It used to be part of the Mombasa Law Court, generally, where the whole court sit, part of the Court of Appeal. Now it's in the building. They're sharing the same building with the Court of Appeal. All right? They're separated. Most of the courts are along with the rest of the courts, where you have the High Court, the Environmental Court, the Labor Law Courts, and then the Magistrate Courts. All of us, we are together. There are some others which are, especially in northern Kenya, the Five-Line areas. Those courts are sitting on their own.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I just take you back a little bit on the ADR, alternative dispute resolution. In fact, they say that courts are not supposed to create enmity or what you're trying to do is to mend the relationships, like you said, and I really appreciate that. But if I could get a bit into controversy here, because it's important that we say it as it is. You talked about it's Islamic, and the Muslims, of course. And there have been, if I take you back to the gender conversation, if I don't know, but of course I'm sure they come across. There are concerns about even our own, main constitution in terms of the gaps within, the constitution and how the different judges interpret different situations, including the Sexual Violence Act, where they say, well, certain words are not very clear when it comes to certain gender. How is it within your courts and the Kadhi courts and the Islamic laws that neither of the genders is actually violated, in as far as receiving justice? I'm sure you've spoken about the families coming in and all that. How are we confident that it works for the good of every member of that family, every child, and as far as custody is concerned, and all these concerns that are usually brought up during justice concerns?
Very well. Of course, those issues of gender issues, when you talk of gender, is mostly, apart from Kikuyu land, where we have some problem with men are complaining that their rights have been violated by ladies. But the rest of the parts, I think ladies are the victims, mostly.
All right.
That's the reality, okay, which is in place. But when we are talking of ADR, remember, it's a guided ADR. Is an ADR that is guided by the law. It's the law that governs. It's the law that is within the parameter of the law that operates. You are not submitting 100% to the customary or the traditional system. All right? Where that traditional system violates the law, then the court has the control over that. This is the parameter within which you operate. For example, if the dispute is over, let's say, a dowry, for us, okay? So one of the issues, the dowry is a right of a woman, isn't it, on marriage. Now, if this lady is being forced to forfeit her dowry, for example, okay? All right. And unless she agrees, unless she agrees and said, this is my right, because of other big objective, okay, let me forgo. She's a person of sound mind, disposition, right? If she decides to do that because of the peace, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? But this must be voluntarily given up. But rather now, this is normally guided by the law. Wherever we see that whatever resolution that they reach is not is violating the law, then the court will say no. Will not be adopted this. Please review this.
Are there some
because this violates the law.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is what we're saying, that at the end of the day, the law is supreme.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter that it is a Kadhi's
yes,
court.
exactly.
That the law is supreme.
Exactly.
So then in this case, would there be cases that the Kadhi's court would reject to take and say, go to a higher court, regardless of the fact that you've come here? Or are there cases that would be appealed from the Kadhi's court to an appellate court?
Yeah, of course. Normally, what is there? Ordinarily, if parties consent and recorded the consent, and that consent, the context of that consent does not violate the law, it's not illegal, court adopts. The moment that you adopt, it becomes part of the court records and the court order. Right. And ordinarily, such kind of orders cannot be appealed against.
Okay.
Consent.
Okay.
Consent matter. It's your own decision. You're going to appeal against your own decision. It's not a decision of a third party. It's not a decision of a court. It's not a decision of a tribunal. It's your own decision. But the moment that they find that it violates the law, yes, somebody can advise that, look, this is violating the law. You can come and apply and see how can that be reviewed. But generally, ordinarily, each and every case decided by a lower court, be it the Kadhi's court or the magistrate court or the tribunal, the party has the right, if not satisfied, to appeal against that ruling.
But to whom?
To the High Court.
To the High Court.
To the High Court, yes.
All right.
To the High Court, yes.
The costs, I mean, it's a joke that says the poor man gets no justice. You hear it around. It is no justice for the poor, and it's interesting to hear that from people from a democratic country. I'm very curious to understand. You operate like any other courts, but what is your assessment and your observation in as far as access to justice by those deemed less fortunate or of a different social class? How is it going in your eyes?
I agree with you. Law or the courts are really complicated area. Even for an literate person who, like yourself, if you want to go to court today, you can't just jump and go there.
No.
You must think through from where will I start, because there's a procedure to be followed. That procedure is not appreciated by everybody. This is a domain actually closed for specialized people, the lawyers, the judges, and those people who have been interacting with this system. Because there's a procedure before, and the procedure is a bit cumbersome. You have to start from point A, point B, point C, until step by step. And for your information, most of the appeals that you see in the higher courts, be it from the high court to court of appeal or from the lower court to the high court, mainly is focused on the procedural violation of the procedure. And most of these cases, especially in the cities, big cities, is handled by the professionals, the lawyers. If the lawyers could violate the procedure, if the magistrate and the judge could violate the procedure, you will find that your superior will tell you, look, you have violated this rule. Right? Then what do you think of the ordinary person?
Right.
It's a very difficult area. In real sense, it's a difficult area. So now, of late, we introduced an e-system.
Yes.
Automation. We're aware of that. We're automated. We are moving very fast as a court, by the way. We're moving very fast. And now you have to file all your cases online. So I'm just thinking of a lady who's in a Luya land, somewhere there in villages in Luya land or the Luo land. From where should we start? For your information, 90% of our clients are ladies, poor ladies, extremely poor ladies. And then also there are some certain court fees.
Right.
So, sometimes people come to us. They are referred to us by a certain check. You can get your right only from the court. Okay. Go there. So this lady comes and carry kids to you. How would you help? in her mind, she will come, explain to her problem, to you her problem, and get the justice here and there, and go with it. That's what's in her mind.
Yes.
But can that happen?
No.
No.
Especially if you're operating within a system, for
Of course.
example, which is automated.
Exactly.
Here we are saying everything must be filed.
Exactly.
So now here I am with my case, whatever it may be.
Yes.
Domestic violence, whatever. A sheikh has now said, you may go to this court. I'm not considering this automated system of yours. I'm considering these are my 3 children that I need to feed, and for whatever reason I've been abused, and I can come to court.
Yeah.
I don't have a house, but you're asking me to automate it.
How?
How are you how are you marrying the actual situation
Yes.
with a mandated automated system?
So of course we have got a desk that help. They come there, we help. But before that, you have to prepare your case first. Prepare your case, because you will not be a party to write for your case. If you do that, the issue of the impartiality will get lost. So we'll not write any case for you. What do? We need a lot of pro bono guys to come and help these people. Right? So the only place where the state can facilitate, to some extent, is the criminal case, where the state is the complainant always. It's the police that comes, ODPs, DPP, what do you call it?
DPP?
DPPs, and the rest involved. But when it comes to civil case, which is the majority now, civil case, is the party, is the victim, is the party who's affected who push for her or his case. In our case, mostly these are ladies.
All right.
Are they represented at the Kadhi?
Of course, they must be represented, yes. Lawyers are there. But can they afford lawyers? That's the question.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Can they afford lawyers? That's the question now. This is a problem that we have. Because those who can afford a lawyer, yes, they engage a lawyer. Those who cannot afford a lawyer, they have to struggle here and there.
Let me ask this question. This has been
because we don't have a desk that will prepare a case for them. Yes. For example, if we go to a succession case, it's a bit better. All the forms that require to be filled are online. You can just download them, and who can access that? Only those people who are
with access to the internet.
Yes.
Electricity, internet, gadgets,
and all those things. Okay, but people who have never even seen a phone. In Kenya, there are people who have never seen these mobile phones.
And those are some of the individuals who are coming to the court. Yeah.
In fact, these are most of the people. Most of the people have a lot of problem are the poor people. Yes. How do you deal with them? The gaps are there. That's it. The gaps, of course, are there. But the court tries its best that we facilitate the much we could. Okay. We have no resources at our custody, at our disposal to help, but we guide them how to go.
Kadhi, when we hear of resources being allocated to our courts,
yes,
does that allocation include the Kadhi's courts?
Of course, we are part of the court.
Yes,
we are part of the court, and each court has its own budget for that annual year, and there's a system how it's distributed.
That's question 1A. Question 1B: how are people who work within the Kadhi's courts trained? Yes, there's the legal aspect which applies to all Kenyans, but it is a Kadhi's court. What else must they be trained in? What else must they know?
Very well. Kadhi's court, first of all, the staff that mans or work at the Kadhi's court are part of the technical guys. There's the Kadhis themselves now, who are the judicial officers now. All right. The rest of the staff are just like the rest of the staffs of the rest of the courts. No difference. For example, you have the court administrator. You have the court assistant who's attending to the court. You know what they call clerks. Olden days. Yep. Nowadays we don't call them clerks. We call them court assistants.
Court assistants.
Court assistants. Okay. These are the same people recruited by the JSC and deployed to the various courts. Now, for the Kadhis, for you to be qualified as a Kadhi, you must be conversant with the Muslim law. That's the first thing. When the magistrate and the judge is required to be a graduate of a law, okay, an advocate of the High Court,
yes.
But when it comes to the Kadhis, we must be a graduate of Sharia.
Okay.
Because we are dealing with Sharia.
Sharia law.
We are dealing with the Sharia law. All right? If you have an extra that you have also a law, okay? You are also a lawyer, for example. That's an extra thing, advantage. But that's not required. a requirement as at now, right? But you must be a graduate from a recognized university, having the Sharia or Islamic studies subjects that related to your field. Yes.
So,
and then that's continuous training by the judiciary of staffs and the judiciary of SARS, also part of that.
Indeed.
Yes.
So 2 years ago, we saw that the Chief Justice was very, very, detailed on access to justice, and was looking at really graduating, in this case, down to make sure that there was access to justice across board.
Yes.
That's here. You've told us very clearly that in the Kadhis courts, 90% of the cases that come to the court are those who actually seek that access to justice and are denied because of certain things, geographically where you are located, in relation to the court. Number 2, finances, social class, etc. So it would seem as though the majority of the people who come to the Kadhis courts are actually the subjects of the focus that the Chief Justice had in mind when she was talking about access to justice, and let's make sure that the alternative sources, that access is far and wide, that we see these courts being set up across the country. Is it enough? Is it enough as applies to Kadhis courts? Number 1. Number 2, what would you like to see, even as we see this access enhanced over time and across the country? What would you like to see that it gets to the point where truly justice is enhanced at the Kadhis courts across the country?
Let me say that from the inceptions or inaugurations of our new constitution, 2010, to date, in terms of the access to justice, the court has taken a very wide stride. And the leadership, the successful leadership that we have got 3 of them, starting with Justice Mutonga, retired emeritus, and Justice Maraga, and then now our
Justice Kome.
Each of them have been having their own blueprint on which they have been building on it. And the main focus is the access to justice.
Right.
All of them, from different perspectives. Okay? Now the current perspective focus is on the social transformations. It's on social transformations. This is the main focus. And let me say that during the first phase, the court saw robust construction of the courts all over the country, and of course the placements of courts in various areas. In our case, when I joined the judiciary sometimes back in 2005, we were only 17 or less than 17 or 14, 17 somewhere there, Kadhis. At a point we reached almost 56 Kadhis spread all over. That's a growth in terms of accessibility, okay, bringing the service closer to the people.
Yes.
All right? There's a great improvement. We will find Kadhis court in areas which are so remote in this country where people never knew what a court is. So in terms of that, I think we have gone very, very far. But still we have still to do more. So growth. If we look at our constitution, this constitution is giving us inspirations, which will keep on inspiring. We will not reach it.
Yeah.
You will not reach, but we will keep on struggling. So I think we are doing quite well. We are doing quite well. For example, would you imagine when it comes to, for example, virtual hearing? Virtual hearing, previously, people used to come physically to the court, wherever they are.
Yes.
But today, all over, at the comfort of your bed, wherever you are, you can be 1,000 kilometers away from the court.
Yeah.
But you can enjoy you follow your case very well.
Yeah.
You can be in America.
Right.
Imagine. And people do appreciate a lot, especially the virtual hearings. Okay? If you want to file your case, you don't have to travel far. Okay? You don't have to. There where you are, using your gadget, you upload it. But there's some people who still don't have those facilities, which we think that there has to be something to be done for them. So when I said, I think you misquoted me, I did not say that 90% of the people are turned away. Majority. No, not really.
Not turned away,
not
but
really.
They're bringing their cases.
Not really. Of course, bringing their cases. They've got their challenges, and the moment they come to the court, at least they get some guidance and understanding. Better, far much better than the way it used to be.
Indeed.
Some guidance and how to go about, and eventually of course, they will get their justice. Yes.
I know it's top of the hour.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to, of course, to speak about and I know you might not speak to it, but people with disability and their access to that as well, but next time perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Having a conversation about that. I mean, it has been enlightening to hear a lot of this and seeing how justice is actually enhanced and access to it is actually enhanced through the Kadhis courts. The Honourable Sukyan Hassan Omar is the Deputy Chief Kadhi and he's been with us this morning. Thank you for being in Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.